Hi guys, it's your girl Steffi, and today we will be talking about how I got into digital fashion. Now I've decided to do it as a design with me sort of video. So come and watch me design, get to know me, find out what types of projects I work on, how I got into digital fashion, and what I aim to do in the future. Okay, so we're in Substance Painter. If you guys don't know, texturing is my most favorite part of 3D, so that is what we're going to do today. I've already designed this piece in Clo 3D, and we are going to get to the fun part, which is the texturing. Okay, so let me just put down some textures first. Flannel fabric. Actually, I wonder, do I have any smart materials? Let me check this. Okay, I previously made another version of this, so I've saved that texture as a smart texture, which we should be able to just drag onto this. And it is all here, so I don't need to be searching for everything again. We could possibly refine what everything looks like, but so far, so good. Okay, so what is my background? Do I have a fashion background? I actually do not. I've got a graphic design background, which I studied graphic design when I was in university. And well, it wasn't my intention to be in digital fashion, but I just so happened to end up in it because, well, my journey is graphic design, and then I moved into 3D motion design, and then finally moved into digital fashion. So my journey is definitely not linear, I can give you that. Let me just, we need to remove this mask, there we go. And I guess as a kid I really loved watching like Ghibli, Disney animation, anime. I used to love watching all that stuff. So I guess animation has always been something that I've been drawn to. Oh, this is cool. We could work with something like this. And so when I was studying graphic design, I just felt, okay, typography is cool, but when it moves, even better. So that's when I found out that I really enjoyed well, animation. And then I saw a YouTube video from Grayscale Gorilla and iDesign on how to make a 3D animation in Cinema 4D, and after I watched that video, I was totally hooked. I don't know, they made it look so easy. They made the whole thing look so easy, and I'm like, damn, how do I do that? How do I get into that? And that's when I started learning 3D animation, which is why I use Cinema 4D, because my background is really in motion design. I was working in industry as a motion designer, and I really thought at the time that I was going to be working in branding and advertising. I'll be working for like a motion design studio, working in post-production. That was my aim back then, but 2020 came and everything changed. I got so much of my time back in 2020. It was like a godsend. It really was. And so I used to go into the office to London every single day. Every single day, Monday to Friday. I would go straight into London. I would commute. It would take me about 3 hours to go there and back. So I got all this time back to just learn and do stuff, and it was just really like a time for me to take back my time and learn something that I enjoyed. Not to mention I got to sleep in a lot more, which was absolutely great. And actually, before we talk about 2020, let's talk about 2019, which I worked on my first ever digital fashion project. And in that time I had no clue what digital fashion really was. It wasn't really a thing. It was always there, don't get me wrong, it was there, but I didn't really notice it. Not a lot of people were doing it as a job. And so the first project that I worked on was with this collective that I am a part of called DigiGirl, and they were commissioned by Selfridges to create a digital version of a physical collection that they had. At that time, I think I was freshly graduated. I had like not a lot of things to do. And so when this opportunity came along, I was like, hell yeah, count me in. I want to be a part of this, let me try this. And I got selected to help out with the camera animation, the texturing, the lighting, the building of the 3D environment. We got to play around with all of that. But we also had these amazing digital fashion artists that would be creating the digital fashion garments, and I was watching them create it, and it was just fascinating. And then it really hit me that a lot of what they were creating is 3D. Essentially, digital fashion is 3D, and you can see it here in my screen here. We are working in 3D and in 2D. And it really just got me to think that, oh, I guess digital fashion isn't as different from 3D as I thought it would be. And then I decided that in 2020, when I got all that time back, I was like, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna start making my own clothes for fun. And of course, at the beginning, it was something that I just did for fun. It wasn't really anything that was serious, I would say, because I was just having fun making all these clothes that I wish I could have worn. So at first it was all fun and play, but then I started to do it so much that I ended up doing it every single day. And now I get paid to create digital fashion, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It is really a lot of fun. It's probably one of the first places that I ever got to really enjoy what I do and express my identity as confidently as I can. But in digital fashion, I was just fully confident in just showcasing who I am, especially in my works. You see that I utilize a lot of Chinese elements within my drawing, not drawing, but in my designs, and also a lot of influence from streetwear. So I combine the two and then I make it my own. Sometimes I have a huge imposter syndrome that I didn't have a fashion background, you know. I don't know a lot about fashion history and all of that, and I feel like I should. Or even having, you know, the correct fashion terms for when we're creating these, you know, for example, you know, digital fashion is really based off of real fashion. The terminology that we use for building it is exactly what you would use if you were to make it in real life. My ethos in life is to really carry on learning, and even if you feel stupid or you don't feel like you're the best at it, it's okay. As long as you're learning, you're making progress. So I stick to that. And even though I might not know all the fashion terms, I endeavor to learn it. And of course, once I do learn it, I'm gonna teach you guys. I'm gonna show it on this channel, and you guys can also learn with me. I'm gonna pause this video just right here. If you guys are enjoying this video, then make sure to check out my Patreon. We've got digital fashion tutorials, career advice, digital fashion industry insights. So if you want to improve your skills and your knowledge in digital fashion, make sure to check my Patreon out. And now back to the video. And you know, I always get questions of people saying, oh my gosh, your digital fashion looks great. How did you get into it? And I always tell people, this is my 5th year of doing 3D. I'm working in 3D. I wasn't, you know, good at it at the start, but it took me time, and especially with 3D, it is such a huge topic to handle. I always tell people that it will take time, especially 3Ds. You got modeling, you got texturing, you got lighting, animating. I feel like I'm missing one. You got rendering. You got a lot, is what I'm saying. So to get to the point where you actually understand 3D pretty well, it takes time, and that's okay. And it wasn't that I just learned digital fashion and then suddenly got clients. No, that did not happen by itself. I actually posted a lot on social media. Social media is one of the main ways that I get my clients. It is the main way that I get you guys to see my work. I mean, you're on YouTube, right? You're watching me here, and it helps people understand what I do. At least it gives them a bit of insight. So what I did during 2020 to 2021 was actually just like produce work non-stop. I just kept on producing, creating, practicing. And I posted all of that on social media. You guys can scroll on my social media and have a look at that. So I was being proactive. I think that's the key word we're looking for here. During that year, I was really proactive. I posted everything on social media. I think that's just one thing that I learned when I was posting so much on social media, is like, you can work the heck out of something and you're still not going to be happy with it, but you might as well just post it not perfect and move on, and then you just work on the next piece, because you will see in time, especially when you work, all of your old works, you're gonna always look at them and be like, I could have done this better. I could have changed this, I could have changed that. But if you're so fixated on just being perfect, your work's never gonna come out. Nobody's gonna see your work. So it's better to just post work, a body of work that's good, or rather good than perfect, and then you just slowly improve. So that's what I exactly did. I posted on social media. I did a lot of collaborations between other artists, and it was a lot of fun because actually collaborating with other artists meant that I was able to get to know other people, but also they could share my work to their community as well. 2020 was also the year that I dabbled in NFTs, and I still do to this day. I feel like NFTs have got a bad flack, but I'm really here to tell you guys that NFTs are the future. At least I believe it is, because the actual technology is really where the future is heading. So yeah, I dabbled in a lot of things in 2020. I started learning digital fashion. I started creating digital fashion NFTs. I also started streaming on Twitch every single week since 2020 for 3D and digital fashion. And I started to build up my own community who could learn with me. They could see that I was not afraid to make mistakes, and I think they quite enjoyed seeing me grow and like watch my journey. And I've had the pleasure of working with clients because I posted on social media so much that people saw my work and then they wanted to work with me. So that was definitely a blessing from social media. A few of my favorite client projects have to be one that I worked on with Dell. I got to be in my first ever commercial, which I never expected, and that was all thanks to digital fashion. They asked me to create an animation, and this animation had the theme of expand your universe. Now my universe was of course digital fashion, and so I created this animation for them, and then they created a whole like set based off of that animation, and we created a whole campaign based off of my work, which was insane. So I got to film a TV commercial because of digital fashion, and literally would never have expected to have such an opportunity. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, I suggest you go check it out because it was a pretty cool experience and it's on my channel. Another one that I worked on was with Glenfiddich, which they are an whiskey company, an alcohol company, and they were the last people I would expect to ask to work for digital fashion. And they asked me to create 3 digital fashion artworks, and the inspiration were actually their packaging. And those packagings were actually created by other artists, so it was like a collaboration, another collaboration. And so I created my own version, and the aim was to make these animations and then we could sell it as NFTs in the end. And once we sold the NFTs, the proceeds would go to charity or art charities of my choice. So I was just like, it was just such a wholesome project. I'm just really surprised that they had so much trust. They had so much trust in me to carry this vision along. So, and of course that project is also documented on my YouTube. So if you want to see what went down in that project, go and check it out. And it's been great to just be able to work with all of these brands who want to work with digital fashion. And then other projects that I work on includes AR, augmented reality. I love augmented reality. I think it just works so well with digital fashion. The fact that you can wear digital fashion straight away and see what it looks like is super helpful. I also work with metaverses. I've had my designs worn in the metaverse, and I feel like I'm in such a lucky position where I get to work with the latest tech and it's a lot of fun. I'm an absolute tech head. I love working with technology. And so what do I do now in my career? I do a plethora of things. I am first and foremost a digital fashion artist. I'm trying to build my own brand now, which is scary. I don't know, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but you guys are very supportive whenever I do create anything new or when I do go on a new venture. So look out for that space, because Steffi Fung brand is going to get bigger and bigger. And as a digital fashion artist, I still like to work with, clients. I like working with different clients. It just more as a collaborative state, because it gives me a new perspective, and especially being a freelancer, working for myself, working by myself, it's quite nice to work with people. As much as I appreciate my own solace, but just working with people and working on new projects and learning new things is always very interesting. I also do a lot of educational content, which I do on YouTube, Patreon, and Twitch. As I said, I started streaming on Twitch, 3 years ago, and I've been going strong. So if you guys ever are free and you want to see me do the process live, actually kind of similar to this video, which you guys will see, as I'm just like coloring things and designing things live, and you guys can ask me questions. That's what the stream is like. It's pretty similar to this. And my Patreon, I created because I realized there's not a lot of good resources out there that are consolidated so that you guys could actually learn more about the industry, more about technical skills, more about how the workflow is like, So I've created Patreon for those who are a bit more serious about learning digital fashion. And if you guys are curious about learning a bit more, do check out my Patreon. Of course, what I love about Patreon is that you could always join it, and if it's not your cup of tea, you can cancel it the next month. So that is my educational side, and I'm ending up doing a lot of talks globally around the world. I'm actually being sent to different countries, different events, universities to talk about my journey, to talk about digital fashion. So I feel very blessed at this point, because I entered digital fashion pretty early. I wasn't the first, not saying that. I'm not the first, but I entered the space pretty early. And people sort of look at me as a pioneer in this space, and they invite me to do all of these talks around the world, and I'm just very lucky to be in that position where people are asking me to share more about digital fashion and what I do as a digital fashion artist, as I work for clients, NFTs, and all of these emerging tech. I love coloring and substance paint, so this is actually one of my favorite parts. Look at it. Coloring and making my own patterns. So much fun. And so that is pretty much what I do, I suppose. Client work, NFTs, education, content creation. Oh my god, I totally forgot about content creation. Content creation, that is another thing. It is non-stop, absolutely non-stop, I'll give you that. Ever since I started being a content creator, I just feel like every little thing that I do, I share if it's my work, but it takes time, and people just don't realize how much time and energy it takes to even edit a little video that people may see for like a second, and then they will scroll. Social media is a really good way of just helping visual artists like myself to get eyes on my work, which means clients can find me. People like you can find me. I can grow my community, which I have a lovely community. My Discord community is the best. And it's just, social media is great for that. But it is absolutely, I don't even know, unforgiving, if that's the best way to put it, because the more effort you put into social media, I think the better. But then that comes at a cost of you always constantly, your brain's always switched on to think about what's next, what content can I make next, what sound can I make next with music, and with like trending music that is on like TikTok these days or Instagram. And then you think, oh, I should make this because this would be great content for people to see. And then you create something, and then it doesn't do as well as you thought it would, or it doesn't do as good as it usually does. It might just be your video views are quite low for one video, or the engagement is not as high, and then you start getting worried, like, damn, are people like not seeing my stuff? Is it the algorithm? You know, you start worrying. And so this is why I'm saying social media is great, but it's also very bad. It's very bad. I spend too much time on it. I do enjoy it. It does stress me out. And it's very integral. It's very integral for getting people to see my work. For anyone who wants to be a freelancer, I wholeheartedly recommend being on social media. Especially if you're a creative professional, be on LinkedIn. Be on Instagram, be on TikTok. If your work is visual, that's where you want it to be. Okay, let's color all of this in. Oh, so satisfying. It looks great. So nice. So I suppose being a freelancer just comes with more responsibility, because when I used to work in full time, of course there were different teams of finance. There were project managers. I had a line manager and another manager to deal with that manager. You know, you've got someone to like motivate you to hit a deadline or goal. And you've got your teammates who can tell you when you've done something good, you've done something wrong, or you made a mistake, and they can show you how to fix it. But when you're a freelancer, you don't have all of that. You're usually working by yourself, and you usually need to be organized, and you need to motivate yourself to do your work. It's so easy as a freelancer to just wake up and be like, I don't feel like working today. But you're gonna have to. You have to motivate yourself so that you can actually make a living. But I didn't become a freelancer, especially a digital fashion freelancer, until I became a bit more comfortable with creating digital fashion. I only became a digital fashion artist or freelancer once I knew I could create some basic garments and I would be comfortable in that. You know, I was comfortable with working from DAZ 3D to Clo 3D to then Cinema 4D to then Substance Painter to then rendering. Like I needed to know at that time that I would be able to fulfill what a client wanted. So that I made sure I had that down first before I started as a freelancer. And I kid you not, when I was fully employed, I spent my evenings, so I would finish at 5 p.m, get home, and I would spend my evenings, probably some of my weekends, literally just learning and creating my own personal projects. And I would post it on social media. So I think that tenacity or that dedication to work even after work, yeah, I think that's what really helps me. And I know it's not easy. I know the last thing you guys want to do when you finish your full-time work is to do more work. I get it. But without that, without me doing a little bit every day or every week of my own personal projects, I wouldn't be in a position to be independent with my craft. In fact, if I didn't do that, I'd probably still be working for someone else, which I don't want to do that right now. I don't think there's a problem with it. There's people who like to do that, and if you do like to do that, that's fine. But for me, I think I just got to a point where I didn't want to work for anyone else anymore. And I really wanted to make my own name, like build my own name, my own craft. And so I believe I believe that year in COVID, as I said, gave me so much time back. But that year really was a blessing in disguise for me, career-wise, because I got all this time back, and that meant I had more time and do things that I wanted to do in my spare time. And I had more spare time, so it was great. That is my small pep talk. I feel like I've just gone completely off topic about digital fashion, but honestly, I feel like becoming a freelancer or creative freelancer, not a lot of people talk about the struggles a lot, about how much hard work it takes to become a freelancer and what is really involved. So just want to be realistic. I wholeheartedly enjoy being a freelancer because I get to set my own rules. I get to work whenever I want to. I am in charge of my own creative vision and what I want to work with on that day. And then on the flip side, there is a lot of stress involved because you're in charge. You can't just dump your responsibility on someone else because you've got no one else to blame. You know, it is your business and you have to be responsible for it. So I think freelancing just means more responsibility. And I think this just applies to any creative field. This doesn't just apply to digital fashion. We are nearly done with texturing this piece. We're just coloring everything in here. And actually this pattern here, I drew this myself and I made it a vector on my iPad. So this is why I love Substance Painter, because you can really import things and texture it and make it your own. But yes, digital fashion, what to expect. I really expect for this industry to carry on growing. It is growing at a really fast rate and it's still the beginning. So I have seen a lot of companies that were quite small in the beginning, maybe like 2 years ago. They have grown so much. And I'm so happy that, you know, they are growing, because if they're growing, that means, you know, my work will also grow. And perhaps, I don't know what I'll be doing in 5 years. That's the funny thing. I don't know if in 5 years I still be doing this. I still be working in digital fashion, yes, but whether I will be doing this, what you can guys see here, manually, maybe AI will take over. Maybe AI will show us a more efficient way of creating digital fashion, and I will just become more like an art director. Maybe in 5 years' time, I will still be doing this, but I will have my own, not only just digital fashion brand, but also the physical counterpart, where people can buy perhaps a digital fashion NFT from me. And if they own that NFT, then they can redeem a physical piece that I have designed. And I think these ecosystems are bound to come around. We've got companies already doing things like that, so in the future I can only see more of the digital and physical world merging. I think that is it with my story of digital fashion. As I said, it wasn't something I decided to deliberately get into. It was just more out of curiosity that I got into this space. And I enjoyed it so much, especially expressing the fact that I got to express my British Chinese identity to the world, and people, you know, see that through my designs. I'm glad that I'm able to share that part of me within my designs, and it's just really fulfilling. So I hope this helps you guys understand that. I hope this helps you guys understand my journey, how I got into digital fashion. I still believe that there's plenty of space for you guys to also come into digital fashion. There needs to be more designers that can showcase their culture, identity, and their voice within the space as well. I'm also looking forward to having more people who have a better understanding of 3D and fashion, so the combination of the two, which is what I'm trying to do on this channel, is to help you guys understand the combination of the two, so that we can have more talented digital fashion designers enter the space. Okay, this is where we got up to today with the texturing. We just need some final details with this section here, and also with the zippers. But I feel like this is very close to finish and it is looking pretty sweet. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my journey of how I got into digital fashion. I hope this inspires you guys to also get into digital fashion as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to get more videos just like this one. And of course, if you guys got any questions, make sure to put it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Again, if you're interested in developing your digital fashion career and technical skills, head over to my Patreon, because that is where I upload most of my tutorials, industry insights, and also digital fashion career advice. Let's stay in touch with Discord and Twitch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.